Hi, my name is Emmy Quinn. I'm head of history at middle school in Northumberland, so I specialise in Key Stage 2 and Key Stage 3 history, and my presentation is about embedding knowledge organisers at Key Stage 3. So, purpose of knowledge organisers, first of all, as everybody will know, for retrieval, for testing key knowledge, for having students learn key knowledge and then using them for testing, and secondly, for reinforcing key knowledge as well, perhaps during lessons, looking over definitions, and finally, I use them as support in lessons as well. So how I specifically use these at Key Stage 3. When starting a new topic, I give the knowledge organiser out as the first thing that we do. We look over the knowledge organiser, the key terms, the key dates, and it reinforces from the very beginning the importance of actually having the knowledge organiser. And I usually talk through the different types of tests that we will do using the knowledge organiser as well. Secondly, for retrieval, as I know lots of people use them for, and I build in knowledge tests throughout my scheme of work, and I do them mostly at the beginning of lessons, and it usually focuses on one section of the knowledge organiser, so testing dates from the timeline, and students are told exactly what they need to revise. There are lots of different ways to do this, so this is an example of a Year 7 knowledge organiser. I might give them simply the definitions that are in the box and say you need to learn off all these definitions, and I will test them next lesson. I'll give them 10 questions or a matching exercise. I may produce a blank copy of this Parliament diagram and they have to fill it in, or maybe I'll leave a few things in to guide them, and then a timeline test, very easy, either 10 questions or a blank timeline as well. There are obviously lots of different ways to use it for testing, but the main thing is obviously remembering to do it and having it built into your scheme of work as well. I also use them a lot in lessons as a point of reference. It's got core knowledge, it's got key terms, key dates, key individuals. It's very easy for students to simply say, Miss, what date did that happen? And what I say when they say that is, if I know it's in the knowledge organiser, I'll say, you need to go look at your knowledge organiser. They are actively using the knowledge organisers. One thing I have noticed in various places that I've worked in from chatting to other people is knowledge organisers are often something we're told to have in books, that they must be there, but we probably don't use them as actively as we could. We might use them for homework, but we don't use them in the lessons. And what I've been making sure is that I remind students of that knowledge organiser and direct them to it. I always tell them to go to the knowledge organiser first. And I also use them in key tasks as well. This could be really simple as a starter task, for example, with definitions, but I often use it if they're writing paragraphs. I will say that they specifically should refer to the knowledge organiser. So this is an example of a Year 8 task, writing a paragraph about the turning points of the Civil War. They were using a living graph, but there was also a timeline and some information about key battles on their knowledge organiser as well. And so I've said, please use your knowledge organiser in order to do this. And it's, again, reinforcing that it's there and reminding them that they've got it. So how do I make sure this happens? I've already mentioned it a few times. It's obviously reinforcement, but one of the things I will say that it does take a little bit of time. I know my knowledge organisers off by heart. I use them in my planning for nearly every lesson. I either have them laminated and up behind me at my desk so that I refer to them, but I also have them blown up within the classroom. They are displayed. So for every topic, they are there. I switch them round for the next topic, and it reminds the students as well that they've got that knowledge organiser. But you do need to remember to take them down when you do knowledge tests as well. My slide at the beginning of the lesson is something that I use in conjunction with the knowledge organisers. In my school, I have to get them to write down learning objectives. I know not everybody does that. So once students have done title and learning objective, they are then directed to the key terminology that's on the board, and they need to look at their knowledge organiser, because most of the time it will match up with what's in there as well. And then they will have to explain to me those key terms. So this is an example from Year 7. This is contenders to the throne, and my key terminology, I've got the names of 4 contenders to the throne, which is on the knowledge organiser, and also 2 key terms linked to that as well, succession and monarchy, which are also on the knowledge organisers too. And it's, again, reinforcing the use of it for key terms. The other way I make sure this happens, and I've said this throughout, it's the reinforcement. It is just constantly reminding students why they are there. They're not just there to look nice. They're not just used for an assessment. It's reminding them that it's their go-to. And it's very similar to the way I use dictionaries in a lesson as well. You know, if I'm asked a question, I know it's there. It's that constant reinforcement. In the same way, if they ask me a definition of a word or a spelling of a word that I know will obviously be in the dictionary, I tell them to go and do that as well. It's not a crutch. It's not there to be supplemented from them learning the knowledge, it's to actually constantly reinforce it so it eventually gets embedded, and it's just being active with them rather than passive. It's not just having them there and occasionally using them for tests. It's to try and use it throughout their lessons and throughout their learning.